Movie reviews. Jojo Rabbit. Despite the name, it is not about an actual rabbit. So this is the latest film directed by Taika Waititi. The last movie he did was Thor Ragnarok, and that's really where I think a lot of mainstream moviegoers began to hear his name. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't too familiar with his work before that, but now I'm a fan. The description on IMDb says, a young boy in Hitler's army finds out his mother is hiding a Jewish girl in their home. That's a pretty accurate description of what this movie is. So this movie is a satire in every sense of the word, and let me start by saying that, because satire, especially when it comes to a topic as sensitive as Nazis and Hitler, it's not easy to do. But the tone and humor of this movie is really what sells it. Taika Waititi plays Hitler, at least this imagined version of Hitler, I suppose. It's not actually Adolf Hitler, but the boy Jojo. It's his imaginary friend throughout the whole movie, and the humor just gets better and better after that. Now, we've seen Hitler portrayed many times in movies, from old Charlie Chaplin movies, to Mel Brooks movies, to Quentin Tarantino movies, and so typically when you want to play Hitler, you want to make him as absurd as possible, and Taika Waititi definitely pulls that off in this role. In fact, I don't know if there's really any other way to play Hitler, quite honestly, because if he's not absurd, if he's not this fumbling idiot, all of a sudden it becomes too dark and almost inappropriate for humor. And while he does a fantastic job in this role, the writing and tone for the rest of the Nazis in this movie are also very tastefully done, in my opinion. They're idiots, they're stupid, and that's what makes it hilarious. A lot of this humor reminds me of BlacKkKlansman from last year, when we saw these white supremacists, the KKK, and David Duke just acting like idiots, and you just almost had to laugh at them because they're so stupid. That's how Nazis are portrayed here. So with Nazis, obviously you have a lot to dig into the history of this war. This movie does almost none of that. And the reason why is because this movie is told through the eyes of a child. Pretty much every scene contains Jojo and Jojo experiencing these things. So when you hear things about the war or the politics involved or strategy, and while Jojo's training up to be a Nazi, everything is seen through his lens. So the only information we know about the world is what Jojo knows and how Jojo interprets it. I think for some people they might view this as a weak point in the movie, but I actually really appreciated how they went about it. There are definitely some serious moments and a lot of heart-touching moments as well. It's a really delightful film, and part of that is because it is seen through a child. You could tell this same story about a man in the army who eventually finds out his family is hiding a Jew and how he has to overcome his hatred towards them and learn compassion, but there's something so pure about seeing a child go through this that it makes it that much more delightful to watch. Another amazing part about this movie is the cast. Now, I already mentioned Taika Waititi, who just kills it as Hitler. Fantastic job, but really, overall, the whole cast is incredible. Roman Griffin Davis, who plays the main character Jojo, does a great job in what I believe is his first feature film, and Thomasin McKenzie once again delivers a great performance. Now, if you didn't see her last year in Leave No Trace, you need to go watch that movie, because she is going to win an Oscar one day, I guarantee it. Not only that, but Scarlett Johansson, in what I think is one of her better roles that I've seen, Sam Rockwell kills it as always. The only person I think I was a little disappointed with was Rebel Wilson, and not because she did a bad job in this movie. I just think this movie wasn't the right tone for her. She comes in playing the same version that she kind of always does, and for some movies that works, but having a German version of that as a Nazi, it had its funny moments, but overall, I think this might have been a little miscast. Another fantastic element to this movie is the cinematography that is used. Taika Waititi does a fantastic job at choosing what shots he wants to use, and is very intentional with a lot of symbolism within this movie. Now, I don't want to give away any spoilers, so don't worry about that, but there are a lot of specific shots where, again, this is a moment where I think some people can look at this as cheap, because you zoom in on this image or this item, and it's very obvious that, like, okay, he wants us to pay attention to this, so he's going to use this later on, and of course he does. But if you're in the right mood, which I was while watching this movie, I thought that was beautiful. You see these images, you see these phrases that are going to be used later, and there's a lot of payback. Again, I cannot emphasize enough, the tone of this movie is fantastic between humor and drama and tragedy. I mean, it's about Nazis and a boy trying to hide a Jewish girl from his own army. It's crazy. But what I thought really tied it all together was the music that they chose to use. And if you've seen the trailer, you kind of know that they use a lot of classic rock songs, but had German covers of them, and it's fantastic. It really makes you feel like you are in this world, and whatever world this is, because it's kind of like this fictional version of Germany, I suppose, where things are pretty colorful and everyone's kind of humorous, but it's still fun. The movie opens with a classic rock song that you're all going to recognize and ends with a very powerful German cover. And again, with the symbolism, it just wraps it up so nicely. I love this movie. So, my final rating of this movie, I am going to give it an 87 out of 100. This has a great chance of making my top 10 of the year. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 if you follow me on Letterboxd, which you should. Until then, comment below. Have you seen this movie? What did you think? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you next time.